Hello, everybody. My name is Tommy Long. I am the exterior shade guru. I have gotten this name for many, many years in the industry. I think I'm going on 30, 31 now. I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise in the exterior shading market. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about fabrics. A lot of people have a bunch of misconceptions of fabrics, the differences in light and dark, whether it's interior or exterior fabrics, whether it's for fixed screens, the solar screens on your windows, the roller shades, things like that. So what I first wanted to get into is the fabrics that you have on the screens of your house. These are the half bug screens that are on your windows. Those are a fiberglass cord product. They are usually black in color. Over the years, there has been some gray fiberglass. It doesn't last as long as the black does. You can usually see houses that have an expired screen by it starting to turn silvery colored. It was probably black at one time, and then it's usually flopping in the wind a lot. That basically means that fabric is no longer good. The bugs are going to get in. That fabric is really only designed for the the bug screens on your house. Now, the very first rendition of that was an aluminum wire. That was probably 40s, 50s, 60s, into the 70s, and then they started getting into some fiberglasses and things like that. So a screen on your windows. So this is a fiberglass product, so you can't even hardly tell it's there. It's very open woven. By it being open woven, what that means is the screens on your house are 18 squares wide by 16 squares high in a square inch. That is important to know because this lets a lot of wind still come through. It does keep the bugs out. Now, in exterior patio shades, the ones that roll up and down in a track system or something like that, it's really hard to, because this is not a very strong product. You can't necessarily, there is some manufacturers that I know use a fiberglass cord product, but they don't make them quite as wide as everybody else does. So your screens on your house uses an 18-16 mesh. If you can get 7, 8 years maybe out of this fabric, you're doing really good. It is very easy to use. You can roll it in with a round spline based on what channel of the screen around the window is. Now, pool enclosures, patio screen rooms, lanais, bird cages, all those other names that you hear uses a metal extrusion where you're actually rolling the fabric into it. That is an 18-14 mesh. It's a little bit stronger, but it's designed for the pool and patio industry, and it's designed to be able to roll into those aluminum extrusions. With that being said, with aluminum extrusions, it has a flat groove that fabric has to set into. That flat groove uses a very specific flat spline. That flat spline is designed for what fabric you're using. Also, some manufacturers in the exterior market of shades do sell spline. They sell the extrusions. They sell the fabric that goes in the extrusions. In the pool and patio industry, those guys buy fiberglass cord products because it tends to hold up really, really well and easy to roll into those pool enclosures and the patio extrusions. With that being said, there is other products that are fiberglass cord, 2020 mesh, which is a tighter weave. Some people like to call it no-seam fabric because it keeps out the no-seam bugs, the ones you don't see until they're bothering you. Then there gets into 2030, which is actually 20 by 30. That is the first start of solar screen products. So the Vemco 2030 was a solar insect. It still had the tighter weave of a 65% solar screen, but it was fiberglass cord. That was the very first introduction, into the solar screen market. Then they got into 70% sunscreen. Now, this is a Pfeiffer product, Pfeiffer, Pfeiffer, Pfeiffer Fabrics. Started making I want to say it was in the late 70s, early 80s, maybe, the sunscreen came out. The sunscreen was a very uneven mesh. It was one yarn to 3 or 4 yarns going across. That basically gave it kind of a dizzy look as you were looking out of it, but it was a 70% solar blockage. The other one that came out after that was Super Solar. Super Solar is a 40/40. So as you can see, the numbers are tracking more higher, which means it's getting more dense. That means less sunlight and less heat, as well as less wind is going to get through it. These Super Solar was a 90%. But that rolled into pool enclosures and screen rooms very well. A lot of the guys call that shade cloth. It is a little bit stronger, but still, we don't use it in the exterior market on exterior patio shades that use a track system or use anything like that around the outside, because it's still a fiberglass core, which means it's going to break down a little quicker than, say, a vinyl coated polyester yarn. I hope this all makes sense to everybody so far. We've gotten through all of the fiberglass cord products. Now, a lot of the interior world uses fiberglass cord products because you're on the inside of the house and you're not getting as much heat and sun that's hitting it because the glass is reflecting some of that. So those fabrics inside of a home tend to last a lot longer than they do on the exterior. So there is some exterior fiberglass cord fabrics that work very well. I think there's Mermaid that's out there. There's probably a couple of others that I probably won't mention. They do have a slight vinyl coating around that fiberglass to give it a little bit more longevity. But even Pfeiffer Shearweave has a 5-year warranty when you're using the Shearweave products in the exterior, as compared to the Suntex and the Nanos from Twitchell and things like that that we're using in the exterior market, which are a vinyl coated polyester yarn. They have a 10 to 15-year warranty, but even then, they'll last a lot longer than that. I have some clients that I did probably 15, 20 years ago that their shades are still working fine. Might just need a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of cleaning of the fabric or the tracks or something like that. But those fabrics are still performing very well. They do, in the fiberglass cord market, those fabrics do not stretch. So they stay. So when you put them in a pool enclosure or something like that and you screen them in, they're very tight. The vinyl coated polyester yarns, they give a little bit of stretch. So in the exterior market of shades, that stretch helps the longevity of the shade rolling up and down pretty smooth over time. Plus, it makes it a little bit easier to clean, where you can use a mild detergent or a slight pressure washer on a very, very low setting. Now, when I say pressure washer, I mean low, low setting. Don't take a 3000 PSI pressure washer and go up to the screen and hit it full speed, because you're going to blow a hole in it, or you're going to take the coating off of the fabric that it will eventually deteriorate more over time and take away the warranty of it. So now let's get into vinyl coated polyester yarns, and then I'll come back to the flat spline after I explain everything. So in vinyl coated polyester yarns, we do have a bug screen. So Twitchell and Pfeiffer both have what we call a bug screen. It is a vinyl coated polyester yarn. It's woven more openly, so it does get a little bit of wind through it, but it has been semi-tested, I should say, in the solar screen to know how effective it is. So the bug screens have a 50 to 55%, and that's going to be your Nano 50, Nano 55, or your Pfeiffer Tough Screen. The Nano 5055 is a Twitchell product. Has a little bit different warranty than the Pfeiffer. Those are the two main exterior market fabrics you're going to hear the most of in the industry. Then what we're going to do is, there is a Nano 60 that's out there. So as I said, it's getting a little bit tighter woven. That tighter weave means the squares limits the air as well as, but that 60% means it's still letting 50% come through. That is the Nano 60 is the Twitchell. Pfeiffer has what's called a Tough Screen No Seam. The Tough Screen No Seam is a 60% heat rejection as well. So I'm just giving you both products that are available that are out there. It also is going to give you the ability of giving them a little bit of solar control, but still give them a little bit of breeze that's coming through that. But realize again, 60% blockage means 60% blockage of wind. So if you want a little bit of a breeze to come through, you might have to raise the shade up slightly. Hopefully that makes a little more sense when we're going into this. Now, Twitchell has what's called a Nano 70. That 70% is woven a little bit tighter. It is in the bug screen category as well because solar screens usually start at 80% and above. So the vinyl coated polyester yarns, whether it's the Twitchell or the Pfeiffer, Pfeiffer has Suntex 80, 90, 95, 97, 99, and I believe at one time they had what was called sheer weave blackout, which was the exact same thing as Suntex, but it was woven so tight that it was pretty much a blackout, 99.998%. Twitchell has a 80, 90, 95, 97, and 99. And then they have what's called dim out, which is 99.5%. So as you can see, the numbers are getting higher. As it gets higher, it's limiting the amount of sunlight that comes through, as well as limiting the amount of air, rain, things like that that comes through as well. Now, all of these fabrics, once they get saturated, so if you put an 80% on a patio, let's say a restaurant or a homeowner's house, you put an 80% on that patio, rain hits it, it saturates it. Well, it's saturated with rain. When the wind hits that fabric, it's going to pop it into the room a lot farther. That lot farther could be 2 feet to 4 feet across the room, depending on the wind and how saturated that fabric is. Where when you get to a 95, 97, 99, it's not going to saturate as much. And if it does get some water through, you're talking a few inches to maybe 6+ inches into the room, which is going to be a lot less than a lighter fabric. Now, the 80% starts blocking the sun. Now, it does not give you as much privacy during the day because you could still see somebody's body on the patio, stuff like that, especially if there's a light source behind you. Like right now, I have a light source behind me. So if I had all the lights off in here and I was standing on the inside and you were on the outside, the light source is at your back. Just like the person inside the room, the other light source is behind his back. So then once you get to 90%, a little bit more privacy, a lot less wind coming through again. But that is going to give you a little bit more privacy on the patio where people might not see you. They'll see a silhouette of you a little bit when there's a light source behind you. Once you get to 95, now 95 is an even mesh. That means the numbers are the same either way whenever you're doing the square inch. I don't remember exactly what it is on 95. It's a real weird number that they use, and I never remember it because I know the 90 is 40/40. It's a little bit higher than that. But that gives you the most visibility to still be able to see out, like the shade behind me that is in that opening right now. That shade right there is a 95% fabric. So as you can see, you still have good visibility. It is bright and sunny outside. Now I'm going to raise the shade and you will see how much light down there at the bottom is coming in now. You're going to have a glare on the screen here in a minute. This is going to show you how much that does truly block. The room's going to get brighter. Everything starts getting brighter inside of the room. As you can see, the flag behind me is starting to move around a little more because now there's a breeze coming in from the outside coming in. I wanted to show you that visibility just to show how much a solar screen can block. Now, at a 95% is when I like letting the homeowners know when I was doing installs, if they wanted to leave their back door open, how many times do we always say to the kids, we're not air conditioning the outdoors. We're not air conditioning the neighborhood. Well, once you put a 95%, it's more dense, does not let as much air in as well as not as much air out. So it kind of insulates your patio. So by insulating the patio, that means you could put an AC unit out there, whether it's split AC, portable AC unit, and air condition that outdoor environment whenever you have a party or something like that, or the kids can leave the back door open. as long as the shade is down. Now, the first time you open that shade, it lets all that cool air out and all the warm air in, as well as the bugs. So hopefully that helps a little bit. The 95% is going to be a little more labored. It is a basket weave because of the unevenness of the number. It tends to give a little bit of a dizzy look, possibly, whenever you're looking out of it. Some people complain they don't like it. It is a lot more privacy. Then once you get to 99 is going to be a lot more privacy, a lot harder to see out of as well. So usually if you're on a big piece of property, let's say, you can do 95% so it doesn't take away from your view. A lot of clients that have kids that hang out in the pool and all that, they want to sit inside the patio without the sun beating them up. So if you've got multiple shades across the back, you could put 95 and you can still see out very well to see what's going on in the pool or see your big piece of property or anything like that. I am on acreage, so I live on 7.5 acres. I have shades all over my property. My back patio cover, I have 3 shades, one that faces the pool, one that's on the side, and then I have another one down the walkway a little bit in front of the back door. Those are all 95%. And I did that because I wanted good visibility, but I wanted to be able to sit out there in the winter here in Texas, what we call winter, and put a little patio heater. I've got a little heater table that I can put out there, and it'll keep it nice and cool. And I can sit out on the back patio and just relax or whatever. I do have one that's on the front of my pergola that has a hot tub inside of it. So it starts in the winter. I can bring that down, and it blocks the wind from coming across. Does everybody understand that so far? Hopefully, I haven't confused anybody. If at any time you have any questions, please leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But always reach out if you have any questions like that. I work currently for a manufacturer of exterior patio shades, Universal Screens. We are a zipper track company. With zipper track meaning it has a spiral zipper that goes into a track system on each side that holds it in place. That is a true patio shade, exterior patio shade. Now, what happens when you have round columns that have other things like that? Maybe you can't put a track system on it. You can use cable guides. Cable guides are a sun control product only. They have no wind rating. They have no bug properties to keep the bugs out. All of the fabrics that I have told you have bug properties, meaning they can keep the bugs out when the whole patio is enclosed, whether it's with fixed screening, whether it's with a shade, maybe it's with a retractable screen door or a swinging screen door. Any of those work to keep the bugs out. They are not 100% bug free. Bugs can land, crawl in. Mosquitoes is what you're trying to keep the most out. Mosquitoes do not land and fly in. They fly through big openings. They don't want anything to touch their wings. So if you keep the shades down the most you're going to keep the bugs out. But these products are made to be used. Now, all the products that I've talked about today, mainly I like to deal with dark colors. Now, in the interior world, you want light filtering. You want it to let bright light in, but you want it to block the sun and the heat. In the exterior market, we want to block the heat, the sun, the light from coming in. So we tend to use more darker fabrics. Are there lighter fabrics that are available? Yes. The thing with lighter fabrics is it puts glare inside of the room on TVs. Usually the husband's the one that watches the football game. The wife is the one that's ordering the shades. That's kind of the thing that I'm talking about whenever I say light and dark fabrics. The lighter fabrics are harder to keep clean as well. You might have to do a lot more maintenance on a lighter fabric. Plus, some neighborhoods, you might have to check with the HOA. They might not allow the light colored fabrics because the light colored fabrics tend to look like they put up a board over their back patio. So a lot of them want everything to be aesthetically pleasing. Everybody stick to, same type of, colors, black, brown, tobacco or a dark bronze, which is a black brown mix. There's carbon. We've got so many different colors that are available. Over the years, the black and browns were the ones that sold the most. But here recently, the carbons are the ones that tend to sell a lot more because it blends with a lot more things. The lighter fabrics, I will tell you, are very, very hard to keep clean. I do have maintenance sheets that explain how to clean fabrics, how to spray tracks, how to do things like that. So, I mean, at any time, if you all need, I can post them up on the websites, um, Facebook groups, anything like that. The maintenance sheets that I've created are for all of us to use. It's a very easy process, mild detergent. I have been using Outdoor by Windex for years, hooks on the garden hose. You just hose it on, follow the instructions. If the mold is on there a lot heavier, or you haven't cleaned it in a year, 2 years, something like that, then you might have to scrub it a little bit, or you might have to do something a little more. I know there is a product called 30-second window and screen cleaner. That is a new one that has come out over the past couple of years. It works very well as well. Home Depot, Lowe's. I even think I saw it on Amazon. The Outdoor by Windex used to be called Pro Outdoor. Years ago. My mom was the one that was using it for her solar screens on her house. Um, but the lighter colors, you will have to do a lot more maintenance on. And some of them, the mold might show up a lot quicker in some climates than it does in others. Some climates, you might not. Down here where I live in Houston, Texas, we grow mold on mold. It is so humid down here. Florida's the same way. You can get up in the morning, it's 70 degrees outside, but it feels like 90 because the humidity is so high. That means everything is going to grow mold on it a lot quicker. So that's one of those things that I always explain to homeowners. You're going to have to do a lot more maintenance. If you want something that's a little less maintenance, then go with a darker fabric because you're not going to see the mold on these as quickly or dirt as you will a lighter fabric. Now, the only thing I like the lighter fabrics for, and when I say lighter, I'm meaning a white. Now, this is a 99% is a white or a white gray or a stucco is an outdoor movie screen. Now, if you want to put one of these up, you can put a projector on it and you can shine shade. I mean, you can shine movies and stuff. I have one that is a 97% white Pfeiffer. I have been using it for about 3.5 years now as an outdoor projector screen. Now, the good thing with this is it hits the front, but it has to be dark outside. This will not work with it being light outside. This isn't like a TV screen that's projecting from the backside. This is a actual fabric that just gives you that ability of using as a movie screen. Now, the other thing I will tell you is 95 and 97, you can see the image through, meaning watch what you're watching on your movie screens because your neighbors will see everything that you're watching. Okay. Now, the other good thing is most of the projectors that are out there, I used a cheap $145 to $200 projector from Amazon. Just put it on, and I've got videos up about it also. I think I have some on my YouTube channel, which is Exterior Shade Guru as well. If not, I will find those videos and I will post them up, just showing that when it was dusk, as it was dusk and the sun was going down, you could watch the picture just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter. Now, with most projectors these days, you can flip the image on the front side. So it shines, but it shines correct on the opposite side. So if you're watching the movie on the front side, the back side's going to be reversed. So it'll look like everything's just backwards. But if you want, you can also flip the image on one side and sit on the outside and watch it without anybody walking in front of the projector and having an image, kind of like a drive-in movie theater. I have 2.5 acres all the way around my movie screen that I can see the image so crystal clear, it looks like you're looking at an HD TV. I mean, that's how vibrant it is. The more high-powered projector you get, the better image. You don't necessarily need it. The cheapest projector you can get works great on every screen that I've seen so far. Some dealers use that as what they call a projector package. Hey, I'll give you a projector if you want to purchase all the shades on the patio right now. They've thrown in a projector on the project, but the thing with that is you have to put it on one end of the patio or add it as a secondary screen. I have quite a few clients that put the shades up and they have bug screen across the front because they're not worried about sun, but they do have sun on the far end that faces the woods. they will put a white screen there and put a projector on it. That way they can sit and watch the football games on the weekends. The grandkids or the kids can go out there and watch movies at night with their friends while they're in the pool, anything like that. So be aware the lighter fabrics work good for projector screens, but not good for anything else. The other good thing that we've all run into with Pfeiffer and Twitchell is the colors transfer from 80% all the way almost to 99%. You can get the same colors. So if one end of the patio, you don't need as much privacy. So you've got a nosy neighbor or something like that. One end of the patio, you could do a 99, where the other end of the patio or going across, you can go to a 95 and then work to the other end where you get an 80% and get the same colors through the whole patio. It works really, really good that way because now also the more open the fabric, the different the colors are going to be. So if you get a black and brown that you see more black at the 80%, it might be more brown when it gets to the 99. Be very, very aware of that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is spline. So when you are doing pool enclosures and patio enclosures, fiberglass cord products. This is going to be your 1814, your 2020, your sunscreen, your 2030, your super solar, which some people call shade cloth. That is going to use what's called a 310 spline. There's other numbers that are out there. I've heard 305, I've heard 315. 310 spline is what you use. It's a little bit bigger spline, but it's designed to hold that fabric in place. So usually if you go to a patio enclosure company, or if you get online, there's companies online that sell all those numbers. It doesn't matter. As long as you're 305 and above, those numbers will hold that fabric into those pool enclosures the way it's supposed to. Now, it's going to be very hard when you go to a thicker fabric. When I say thicker, tough screen no seam, 80%, 90%, 95, 99, 99 and a half dim out. All of those fabrics roll into pool enclosures and extrusions with a lot thinner spline because the fabric is twice, if not three times as thick as regular fiberglass. So you want to make sure you have a 285 or a 290 flat spline. Now, most manufacturers, Universal Screens being one of them, we sell the correct spline, flat spline, for enclosures that the fabric we carry. So if you call up and you ask for flat spline, or you log into our website to order, we sell through a dealer base. If you do that, you will get the correct spline for the fabrics that we carry. We do not carry the 310. I can tell you where to go get them and what suppliers and manufacturer or distributors in the United States sell them. There's metal extrusion companies all over the US that sell all the flat splines for fiberglass, and some of them for, some people call it pet spline because it's so much thinner for pet screen, which is a stretchy product that some of the pool enclosures use on the bottom half for, bigger animals and things like that. But just be aware, fiberglass uses 310. Vinyl coated polyester yarns, which is solar screen, tough screen, things like that, that uses 285 spline. So if you get out there and you're uncertain, you can actually go and take a small piece of it and try and roll it in there. It won't roll in very well. The other thing I wanted to go over also is the colder climates, it is very hard to roll in a vinyl coated polyester yarn. And when I say colder, below 50 degrees, it gets really, really difficult to roll those fabrics in. The reason why is it gets real thick and stiff in the winter. I don't mean thick. It feels thick only because it gets stiff. In the summer, the sun's hitting it. It tends to stretch a lot more. So it tends to get a little more pliable, a little more easy to work with. In the winter or the upper northern climates, you all don't have as much time of the year to be able to put screen enclosures in or roll fabrics in or things like that. What I recommend is, while you're building the enclosure, even if it's a small panel or anything, lay your fabric out in the sun, roll it out in the backyard across the grass, let it sit there in the sun and get warm. Then start working with it and it'll be a little bit easier. But once you start getting below freezing, it is very, very, very hard to roll fiberglass as well as the vinyl coated polyester yarns into any of those enclosures. When I used to build the lanais, we would go out in the winter months, build all the new lanais if it was after a hurricane or something like that, and we would tell them, you're not going to be using the pool this winter anyways. So as soon as we get a couple of days of above 45-degree weather, we'll come back and roll the fabric in, fiberglass, shade cloth, things like that. Back then, my best friend, when he was building those, we didn't do a lot of the solar screen. It was all fiberglass cord. I was usually the crazy one that would roll the solar screen products, meaning Suntex, the nanos, and things like that into enclosures, where his guys would cuss at me when I would tell him, hey, I need you to come help me with some of these triangles above a patio, roll in the solar screen. They would do it, but they would cuss at me because of it, because it is very, very hard to roll in those fabrics into those enclosures. Now, I have run into over the years, and it has always been a discussion and a conflict between installers alike, whether Pfeiffer and Twitchell, which one is easier to roll into enclosure material. I have found, this is me, my personal opinion, that the nano products roll into enclosures a little bit better and easier than Pfeiffer. So as you can see, I have both here. I use both, and it doesn't matter to me. I've had a lot of my installers come to me and say, I like the Twitchell better. It's personal preference. I really have done them side by side, and I haven't really noticed that much of a difference. The fabric, if you mic them, they feel the same. We've tested both of them, me and a bunch of installers, to see which ones. Most of us that have been doing this for years, we don't notice any difference. What I have heard, this is what I've heard, that they put a softening agent in Twitchell. That's what makes it so much easier to roll in, because the softening agent helps it stay softer and not get stiffer. That's just what I've heard. Don't know if it's true or not. I just know a lot of the guys, and I've rolled Twitchell a lot, and it tends to, I mean, when I say faster, quicker, you might be saving 20 minutes a panel compared to Suntex. But here recently, over the past couple of years that I've been messing with this and teaching, I don't really notice a difference anymore. So I don't know if something's changed over the past, 5-6 years, when I was, installing a lot more, and now I'm teaching a lot more. I don't know if that's changed. It could be, you would think it would get difference between the two if one was easier, because my muscle strength isn't there anymore. But I have not noticed anything else difference from that. Again, I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, Exterior Shade Guru. A lot of tech tips are being put there for fabrics. Currently, right now, it is a lot of Universal Screens products. I do have metal, extrusions that I've been showing some content on how to roll fabrics, how to build fixed screen panel openings. I'm working with a couple of dealers when they get unusual projects or something like that, just to let me know, because I'd like to come out and film when they're out there working on those in the Texas area, if I have time, to try and get some more content for you guys. The more content I get out there for you all, the better off you all are going to be. I do have some breeze blowing. You'll see the flag behind me is moving. I do have another shade over here on my shop. This is in my shop where my studio is. On that one is a Nano 50, because I was always a Pfeiffer guy, so I wanted to try the Nano 50 over there. It works really great in the winter. If I'm out here, I get a cool breeze coming through, I'll lower it. And if you go and put your hand up on that bug screen, you can feel the breeze coming through. But that does not have, how would you put it? It doesn't full strength the breeze, but it does stop a lot of that cool air from coming in here. I do have an 8-foot fan up above that is moving some air around just to keep it so it's not so hot in here. I did that earlier because while I was sitting out here, I had to raise this up to get a little bit of a breeze to come underneath. As you can see, the glare is coming in because I've opened it up and it's bouncing off of the ground out there on the grass. So see, that's why I just like to point that out, and it does help block out a lot of the sun. Once it goes down, you can see it blocks a lot of the sun. That is a 95%. Now, today we're only going to be talking about these fabrics. Are there other fabrics that are available? Yes. There is vinyl. There's the clear on the inside. That will be a whole nother segment. Vinyl screens or vinyl shades are a totally different segment, as well as the hurricane fabrics. That is going to be products like Omega Tex, as well as the Storm Shield, which are all Twitchell. Those are products that are designed for the wind abatement as well as the hurricane market. That'll be a totally another segment that we'll talk about also when I'm in an environment that has those fabrics and those shades. So that way I can film there to give you more discussion on those types of things. So if you have any questions, please post in the comment section below. Let me know what you would like for me to talk about. And I'm working on a lot of content over the next month. I'm hoping to have about 30 to 40 more videos posted up by then. A lot more different topics we're going to go over. One of the ones coming up is going to be Bond. Bond is a hub company. They have just came out with a universal waterproof exterior remote that can operate any type of exterior motors out there in the field currently. They also operate most interior motors as well as some ceiling fans, light switches, fireplaces, heaters, things like that. But that'll be coming up in another segment as well. I'll post that up whenever I get ready to drop that. It might be a couple of weeks. I'll have another Tommy Time segment. Tommy Time was something I started, I don't know, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, just to try and get some tech tips out there. It's kind of formed into the Exterior Shade Guru now. I'm even looking at possibly a podcast sometime in the future, maybe if I have time, that will be talking to different people in the industry, trying to get some more content out there for you guys to help explain the systems that are out there by the different manufacturers. The MagnaTrack system, which is a very, very well marketed product that's out there. There's a lot of other systems that are out there as well, universal screens. We've got louver roof systems that we can talk about, but that'll be a whole nother segment. I'm going to close out today. I hope you all had a great time. Let me know how you like the segment. If there's anything you think I should change or anything like that, please let me know. Hope you all have a great day.